Hello, and welcome to Lose Weight, Eating More, even if you don't exercise. If you pay attention to what I've got to say right here, you're going to realize that while this sounds like it's impossible, it's actually very possible, and you can do this. You can absolutely do this. Okay, so the first thing, before we get into this, I want to explain why do most diets fail? Right? We know that 95% of people that try diets, they either never lose the weight or they lose the weight and they gain it all back. Well, that happens because most diets are based on you eating less calories, and less calories means that you normally feel hungry because you have to cut back on your portion size. And when you feel hungry, long term, it's not sustainable. Let me show you. You see, we've got these things in our stomach called stretch receptors. Okay, they're called stretch receptors. And when you are eating and you're not full, the stretch receptors never get activated. And so there's a signal that goes to your brain that says, I need to eat more food because these stretch receptors have not been activated. I'm still hungry, eat more. And then so you eat a little bit more and your stretch receptors still have not been activated. And the signal goes back to your brain saying, eat more. And this keeps going on and on until you eat enough food. But if most diets work by saying, cut back on the quantity that you eat, now you've got this signal in your brain that, oh my goodness, I need more food. And normally you can do that for a period of time. But at some point, what usually happens, it kicks in, you realize, man, I need more food, and then you eat more food, and then you gain the weight back. That is a scenario that happens time and time again. But what if there's a way to eat and you actually get full? Then the signal that goes to your brain says, stop eating. Now, that's something that is actually sustainable. So, how is it possible that you can eat all you want and still lose 1 to 2 pounds per week, even if you don't exercise? And I'm here to tell you, I have helped many people do this, and I'm gonna help you too. You're gonna see. All right, so I wanna explain this concept called calorie density. And what is calorie density? Calorie density is the number of calories per pound of food. And it varies greatly depending on the food. So what has the least number of calories per pound of food? Water. Yeah, water. Water's got no calories. Now, that may sound trivial, but you're going to see soon that we can use that to our advantage in weight loss. The next least calorie dense food are vegetables. The next least calorie dense food are fruits. Now, in terms of calories per pound of food, vegetables have between 100 and say 200 or 300 calories per pound of food. I use kind of an average of 150. Fruits, again, between 100 and maybe 300. It varies fruit to fruit. They're not all exactly the same. The next up on the list are oats and whole grains. Whole grains are things like brown rice, things like oatmeal, rolled oats, steel cut oats, barley, millet, and other different whole grains. Next up on the list are beans, lentils, legumes, split peas, chickpeas. Legumes are anything that's grown in a pod. So beans, split peas, chickpeas, lentils, green beans, those are legumes. The next on the list is chicken and steak, and fish is right in that same area as well. Next up on the list, now calorie density is getting higher, breads and bagels and muffins. What's next on the list? Dried fruit. Now, I put that on the list for a reason because you see down here, you can see fruits have a relatively low calorie density. One of the reasons why the reason why fruits have a low calorie density is because fruits have a lot of natural water. But if we suck the water out of the fruit, let's say when you go from a grape that's got calorie density around 250 to 300. But if we take all of the water out of that grape, what have you done? You have removed no calories, but you've removed you reduced the weight. So you pulled out the water. And how many calories does water have? None. So when you actually dry out fruit, you send that calorie density up a lot. And so I want you to see that, right? So you can eat all of the fruit that you want and you're going to get very little calories. But if you're eating dried fruit, it's just the opposite. Okay, next up on the list is sugar, and basically all sweeteners fit in that. Next up on the list, cheese. Cheese, very high in calorie density. It takes very little cheese in order to eat a lot of calories. Next up, junk food. And we're going to see a couple of examples on that, but your potato chips and your cupcakes and ring dings and stuff. Junk food, very high in calorie density. And the highest calorie dense food on the planet is oil. Now, many of us think that oils are healthy. Oh, you got to get that healthy olive oil. The truth be known is that all oil is 100% fat. And when you consume high quantities of oil, you're getting a lot of calories. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Again, I'm going to show you some examples of how this works. Okay, so this first example that I want to show you is a little bag of Doritos. Now pay attention to this picture I took in the grocery aisle. You can see my hand around the side of this bag. It's really small, only 2.75 ounces. But in that little 2.75 ounces, there's 410 calories in those few ounces. So my question to you is, how much cantaloupe would you have to eat to get the same calories that's in this little bag of Doritos? Well, if this is 2.75 ounces, you may think, well, maybe you got to eat 10 ounces of cantaloupe to get the same. Maybe 15, maybe 20 ounces of cantaloupe to get the same calories. Well, what if I told you it's actually 44 ounces of cantaloupe to get the same calories as a little bag of Doritos? That's literally 16 times more food. 2.75 ounces compared to 44 ounces to get the same 410 calories. 410 calories over here, and you got to eat over 2 cantaloupes, 2.25 cantaloupes. 410 calories over here, a tiny bag. I ask you this, can you eat 2 of these bags or 3 of these bags? Well, with every bag that you eat, you've got to eat 2 cantaloupes. Okay, so if you can eat 2 of these bags, can you eat 4 cantaloupes? Can't do it. What does that mean? If you're trying to lose weight by just eating less of the chips, you're going to be hungry, because you can eat this little bag of chips and you're still hungry. You see, that's the key. You're still hungry. If you have a cantaloupe, or definitely if you have 2 cantaloupes, you're going to be full. Okay, let's look at another example. This little Snickers bar. This thing is 1.86 ounces. I mean, you can see how it fits in my hand here. Really small Snickers bar. How much watermelon do you have to eat to get the same number of calories as this 1.86 ounce? Okay, maybe 10 ounces, right? Maybe, let's say 10 times the amount. That would be 18 ounces. Well, the answer is 29 ounces. That's almost 2 pounds. It's 15 times more food. If you've ever tried to eat nearly 2 pounds of watermelon, you're probably full. You're like, oh, I had enough to eat. Versus 1.86 ounces, you can eat 2, 3, 4, 5 of these Snickers bar without a problem. And what happens? You've taken in a bunch of calories and you didn't get full. That's why most diets fail. That's why what I'm explaining to you, like, it really, really works. You're going to see. Here's another example. Here's a Reese's cup. Again, you can see the size of my hand in here. This is 2.4 ounces and it's 400 calories. How many oranges do you have to eat to get 400 calories? When this only weighs 2.4 ounces? Answer, 30 ounces, it's 12 and a half times more. You literally would have to eat 9 average size oranges to get the same calories as what comes in this package of Reese's Cups. Okay, I hope that made an impression on you. And this image, I think, will help hammer it home as well. What you see here is an image of a stomach. All of these are images of stomachs, and all of these are substances that compose 500 calories. So this first one is just 500 calories of oil. So how many calories are in a tablespoon of oil? 120. So you have to, by the time you've had 4 tablespoons of oil, that's just about 500 calories. Now, if you go to a restaurant and they pour the oil on a little plate and they put the seasonings in it, and you take your bread and you soak it up and you keep eating that, then you got to put more oil down, you will have consumed more than 500 calories of just the oil alone. And so you see, from the oil alone, that's 500 calories. And look at how full you are. Not at all. You're still very hungry, yet you've consumed 500 calories. Okay, what if we add cheese? Well, you get a little more full, but you're still hungry. You've got a lot of space here. Okay, what if we add fish and meat to that? That's 500 calories. There's still a lot of space. Now what happens if we add beans and lentils and whole grains and potatoes? Now we've got, our stomach is a whole lot more full. And if you add fruits and vegetables to that, now you've got a meal where you are full and you've only consumed 500 calories. That's the trick. You see, if you do this, you can stay full and lose weight at the same time. So, I ask again, how is it possible to eat all you want and still lose 1-2 pounds a week, even if you don't exercise? The answer is eat below the red line. Eat below the red line. If it's one thing that I want you to get out of this presentation, is eat below the red line. Because when you eat below the red line, you literally can eat all the food that you want and you will get full before you've taken in too many calories. You see, the reason why most diets fail is because most people eat these foods. And when you're eating these foods, you take in a lot of calories. And so in order to lose weight, you cut back on the number of calories. But when you do that, you're still hungry. And eventually, you get to the point where you say, man, I've got to eat something. And when you do that, you gain the weight back. But when you eat below the red line, you take in significantly less calories, but you're full. You're really full. And that's why it's sustainable. Now, you may be thinking, well, what kind of food am I eating? Just keep that in your mind. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to show you can eat some amazingly delicious foods that's below the red line. But before we do that, I want to answer a question that many people have. And that is, well, do I have to eat 100% of my food below the red line? And the answer is, no, you absolutely do not have to. But the more you go, the more you lose. So it's up to you. This is a bar graph of a study done of the Seventh-day Adventists. It's called the Adventist Health Study. And what I like about this test is because the Seventh-day Adventists are very health-conscious people. For the most part, they don't smoke. For the most part, they don't drink. For the most part, they tend to exercise. And there are a lot of people who are plant-based eaters in that group. And so what this is a chart of is nearly 10,000 Seventh-day Adventists, and they divided them up into categories. And they plotted their body mass index. Now, within the body mass index scale, if you're below 25, actually between 20 and 25, that is a normal BMI. If your BMI, body mass index, is between 25 and 30, that's considered overweight. Over 30 is considered obese. So they took a look at, well, where do the meat eaters fit? Well, the meat eaters had the highest body mass index. So, what about the semi-vegetarian? Oh, I'll just go part of the way. They certainly had a lower body mass index than the people that ate meat, but they could do better. So this is a step better. Well, what if I just do the fish? They did better than the semi-vegetarians. But you notice they're still in the overweight category. Well, what if I just consume plant-based products, but I add milk and eggs to that? They do even better. But who were the only group of people that had what's considered a normal BMI? The plant-based eaters. Now, I call it whole food plant-based. Some people use the word vegan. The reason why I don't like using the word vegan is because vegan just indicates don't eat animal products. That's what that means. But there are a lot of unhealthy vegan junk foods that I don't want you to eat. I want you to eat food that looks like it did when it was being grown. So I want you to eat fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans and lentils and split peas and oatmeal, and all of these foods are natural plant-based foods. And when you eat these foods, you will get full long before you've taken in too many calories, but there's some other health benefits. Let me show you this. So we know that the number one cause of death in the US is heart disease. Well, what is heart disease? Heart disease is actually a disease of the arteries that lead to and from the heart. And this is an image of what a clogged artery looks like. So LAD, this is the left anterior descending artery. There's three main arteries that come from the heart. And if they get clogged up, and if that clog, or the term is atherosclerosis, if that ruptures, that's a heart attack. And you may or may not have heard this statistic, but literally 50%, 50% of people that have heart disease, their first symptom is death. Their first symptom is death. That's because this left anterior descending can be clogged and you not know it, and you don't have symptoms. Then if it goes completely clogged, it shuts off, you get no more oxygen downstream. That's a heart attack, and that can be fatal. If you're not, treated fast enough, that can be fatal. But the point I want to make here is this is what a clogged artery looks like. This is heart disease. So this is a patient where the only thing that they did, the only intervention, there's been no stents, there was no balloons put in the artery, there was no medication. The only intervention that was done with this patient is they put them on unprocessed plant-based foods, meaning that they ate fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes, which are beans, lentils, split peas, chickpeas. Now I want you to see the same artery after eating plant-based nutrition. Look at that. Folks, that is proof. That is absolute proof that heart disease can not only be slowed down. You see, once the process of those arteries getting clogged started, for many years, they thought that at best you can stop the progression of the heart disease. This shows that not only can you stop the progression of the clogs getting worse and worse, in this case, it actually reversed. Take a look at how clean these are. This is wide open, but not just this is wide open. Look around here and you see how clean these are. These are plump, fat, wide open arteries where you couldn't even see them over here. Look over here. You see how clean and open they are? You see, the benefit is when you eat this way, it gives your body to reverse the clogged arteries all over your body. The arteries to the brain, the arteries to the heart, the arteries to your lower extremities, even the arteries to your sexual organs. You see, many men have erectile dysfunction, and it's caused by poor circulation. And it's caused by this. When you start eating this way, it cleans out your arteries literally all over your body. It's not just a male problem. Same thing happens with women. You see, the more blood flow that a woman gets to the clitoris, the higher the probability that she can reach orgasm. And she has the same thing. She needs blood flow as well. We all need blood flow all over our body. And when you eat unprocessed plant-based foods, not only do you have the ability to eat all you want while still losing weight, even if you don't exercise, but you also can reverse your heart disease. And we're going to show you some more things. Before I say that, I want to take a quick comment and talk about exercise. So I say here, even if you don't exercise, let me be clear. I want you to exercise. Exercise is really, really important. It strengthens your muscles. It strengthens your heart. It strengthens your bones. It strengthens your ligaments. It helps your immune system. It does many wonderful things for your body. I would like for you to move at least 30 minutes a day, like 5 days a week, even if it's just a walk, even if you just turn on some good music and you dance. Exercise is incredibly beneficial for your body, incredibly beneficial. But when it comes to weight loss, it's responsible for about 10% of your weight loss, okay? It will definitely speed up the process, but it's not mandatory. If all you do is just change the way that you eat, you can lose weight. I have seen it happen for so many people on my program. So the next thing I want to show you is how it can actually lower your blood pressure. So when we eat the standard American diet that's loaded with heavily processed foods and loaded with fats and saturated fats and oils, those products tend to make the arteries stiff. And when your arteries are stiff and your blood pressure goes up. The other thing that happens when you eat foods loaded with saturated fat, and all animal-based products have saturated fat, almost all processed foods have fat in them, and that fat also makes the viscosity of your blood thicker. What's viscosity? It's the resistance to flow. So if you could imagine molasses or honey and you pour that out of a jar, it flows really slow. That's really thick. That's high viscosity. Versus imagine pouring a glass of water out. Well, that's really, really thin. It comes out really fast. That's a low viscosity. When you eat foods high in saturated fat, that viscosity tends to be high because the fat gets in your bloodstream very quickly, and that fat makes the viscosity higher. That makes your blood pressure go up, and it makes the arteries stiff. That makes the blood pressure go up. However, when you eliminate those products and you eat more plant-based foods, it allows the arteries to flex, and you want your arteries to be soft and flex. And when they do, the blood pressure drops. So I wanted to mention that. Okay, so some helpful weight loss tips. Oh, let's just say try to eat 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Eating a big salad before you eat. And by the way, I don't want you to put oil on your salad. Most of your vinaigrettes loaded with oil. We talked about how oil is very, very high in calorie density, and it helps to make the arteries stiffer. Instead, go with seasoned balsamic vinegars, or you could make your own dressing, but you really don't want oils in your salad dressing. You're adding probably 5 times more calories than the vegetables by themselves. If you crave sweets, ripe mangoes and watermelons, bananas, fruit smoothies, these are things that you can do if you've got a sweet tooth. And over time, that will work. In the beginning, you'll still want the sweet because you like that artificial pleasure that your current food gave you. But over time, your taste buds will actually change and you'll realize, man, this is actually pretty good. You can taste your food even more so. Keep healthy food with you. Know that we live in a society where heart disease is the #1 cause of death. We live in a society where over 70% of the people are overweight. So know that the food that's around you, for the most part, it's not going to be the healthiest food. So keep healthy food with you. If you get invited to an outing, just eat before you go. I mentioned the power of bad vegan junk foods, vegan cookies and muffins and cakes and ice creams and fries. Vegan alone is not the objective. The objective is to eat unprocessed plant-based foods that look like they did when they were grown. Of course, fruits and vegetables are the ideal snacks. Okay, so sustainable weight loss plan. It's got to taste good. You're gonna see. I'm gonna show you in a second how amazing this food can be. But if your food doesn't taste good, it's not gonna work. That's super important. It's got to be filling, easily and accessible, and community support really helps. Okay, so what if I told you this amazing plant-based foods are things like taco salad in a tortilla bowl, things like spiced French toast, things like black bean lettuce tacos. What about simply beans and greens? How about banana berry and breakfast bowl? What about the Southwest pasta salad? And even pancakes. Yes, there are pancakes that you can get on this plan. In fact, quite a few. So now I'm going to demonstrate a tool that I want to make available to you, where literally, if all you do is eat the foods on this meal planner, you're going to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. On average, I see people lose at least 5 pounds the first month. Usually I'll see between 7 and 12 pounds the first month. Okay. And then it just keeps going. But at this point, what I want to do is to demonstrate this. But before I do that, if you click the button below, you can get these slides. You can get a copy of these slides. And I actually threw in some of the recipes. So the stuff that I just showed you, I threw in the recipes as well. So you'll get that. But right now, what I want to do is demonstrate for you. I want to demonstrate this meal planner. So when you get this meal planner, it actually looks kind of like this. And the first thing I want to show you is how you can change the information in your account. And it's really cool because you can tell it things and it's smart. There's literally 3,000 recipes in this database. They taste incredible, but it will only show you the things that you want to see. For example, let's say, for example, you have a peanut allergy. You come down here, you click, I don't want to see any recipes with nuts. And then you won't. Let's say you don't want gluten. You come here and you click gluten and you say, save the changes. So from here on out, you will never see a recipe that has those items that you said that you're either allergic to or you dislike them. It even has a filter based on what appliances you have. So most people have a stove top and an oven and a microwave, but what type of blender do you have? Do you have an immersion blender, a regular blender, a Vitamix, or a Blendtec? Those are high power blenders that go so fast you can actually make soup. And do you have a grater? Do you have a food processor? And whatever you don't click, you'll never get a recipe that requires that you have those appliances. So you just say save, okay. It does the same thing on the amount of time you have to cook. Now, I normally, when I set you up in this software, I normally say, okay, you got 60 minutes max for breakfast, lunch, dinner. You can slide this down and say, well, I only got 10 minutes to make my breakfast, and I only got 25 minutes for lunch, and let's keep the 30 minutes for dinner. And then you say, okay. Now, it only shows you recipes based on what you put in. So now let's go to the plan area. Now in the plan area, I've already checked the boxes and had this pull up new recipes. When you start brand new, it looks more like this. And then wherever you put the check boxes, then it'll give you recipes for those days. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I had some filled out already. So that, we didn't have to wait. So when you put the check boxes in, it's going to give you a bunch of recipes. And as you move your cursor over each recipe, you'll see the image with the name. You'll see down here how long it's going to take to make it. This is going to take 5 minutes. It's really easy. This is going to take 15 minutes. This one is an intermediate one, and it's going to take 75 minutes. Oh, 75 minutes? I don't have 75 minutes. Give me something new. So you got the image. You can also click on here and really see what it is. You can see what the ingredients are, see what the directions are, and that's how you can look further on it. So once you look at that, you may say, I don't want this because it takes too much time. You click these 3 dots. And the first option is give me something new. So if I click give me something new, it's going to think about it. It knows what you put in your criteria, and it comes back with something you can make in 5 minutes. And it's really easy. It's a chia berry overnight oats. And if that's something that you want, then you see this green cart. When you click the green cart, boom. Now that's one of the recipes that you're going to eat. Let's look at this one. The sweet potato black bean breakfast bowl. Let's hit the 3 dots and say, well, let me see what other options you have. So we can do search, and in our search, we can say, look, you can either type in something up here, or you can go down and say, well, what pancakes do you have? And you click pancakes, and you've got some pancake recipes. Okay, so you may want to click a pancake recipe. And by the way, you remember that I said that I only wanted to see breakfasts that are really easy that you can make fast. So if you gave yourself more time, you'll probably see some other recipes. So wanted to remind you of that. So you put this in the cart. Now you have selected that. So you look at each one of these, and whatever you want, when you hit the green cart, you're adding it to your recipes. You say, I want to have that for breakfast, and then this is what I want for lunch, and I want this for lunch, and I want this for lunch on that day, and on the 12th, I'll have that fig and pepitas, and then you can keep clicking these green things. One other thing I want to show you is, let's say this chickpea and veggie wrap is something that you really like. So we'll click on that, and you see, okay, this looks good. If this is something that you really like, you can make it your favorite. So if you click this little green heart up here, you see way down here it says recipe added to favorites. Now it's in your favorite. So now when you go back out, it's here. We put it in the cart. Okay, now it's in. Now let's say over here where we have the red beans and rice, when we click these three dots, we can say swap out from my favorites. And what did you save as favorites? Well, we just saved this as a favorite, but these are other things I put in my favorites, and you can just pull out something that's in your favorites. So that's what's in your favorites now. So you can click the cart, and that becomes in the cart. Okay, put another one in the cart. Now, let's say you're ready to go buy your groceries. So you've put these recipes in. So now let's click over here on the grocery list. Now, in the grocery list, what we've got here, let me zoom in on this, is it pulled in all of the items that you're gonna need in order to make the recipes that you click the cart. But before you do anything else, it is going to allow you to choose what you already have. Let's say this no salt canned black beans. Let's say you already have that. You click out here and it says, got it. And it puts a scratch, it pulls it off the list. Let's say you already got some low sodium vegetable broth. You come out here and say, click the bit, it says, got it, crosses it off the list. So it literally will allow you to cross things off the list that you already have. And then once you have it the way you want it, you have three choices. One, you can click email. And if you click email, it'll automatically email it to you. And you probably have a phone that's got email on it. And then it's on your phone. Or you can click print. And if you click print, it automatically opens up a box where you can see your grocery list, and you can either tie it to your printer and hit print here, or if you want to save it, you can say save as a PDF, and when you do that, it'll actually save it as a PDF. Now, there's one more thing that you can do, is there's this green button here that says get grocery delivery. And if you click that, it automatically links to Amazon Fresh and Instacart. And if you hit your Amazon Fresh and Instacart, it automatically pulls in all of the ingredients that you had on your list, and boom, you can add those to your cart, and you can actually go ahead and get grocery delivery if that's a service that you've got available to you. So it does that as well. So it does all of these things. Now, the last thing I want to show you is when you're in the plan. Now, how do you print your recipes out? So you've got all your recipes. If you hit this button right here called print, you can then print your calendar and your recipes. And when you do that, it's just like the grocery list. It pulls up the calendar and it pulls up the recipes, and it makes a sheet for every page. So here's what you're eating for the week. And then it has the giant green salad. So it's got 1 page per recipe. The next one page per recipe. And then you can either print that, or you can, again, save this as a PDF as well, because maybe you want to bring your computer in, or your tablet or your phone, or maybe you just want to print it out. Now, all you need to do at this point is click the button down below. You can get these slides for free. And after you get these slides, you'll see an incredible offer that I have on this meal planner. Month to month, Or you can buy 3 months in advance, and there's a significant drop in price on the per month basis if you buy 3 months in advance, or you can get a year in advance, and another huge takedown in price if you get a year in advance. So just click the link below, and when you click that link, you'll get the slides, and you will be taken to the page where you will see this offer. You got to put your information in so we'll know where to send it to you, and you'll get that. Hey, listen, thank you Oh, I forgot to say, in addition to the tool, you also get added to a private Facebook group. You're going to be in a community where I will still be in touch with you. You're not alone. You're not alone. When you get this, there'll be a link where you can join the private Facebook group. I'll just ask you to put in the email, so I'll check to make sure that you paid for it. And you'll have access to me, and I'll go live. We can do Q&A. You're not in this alone. You're going to be going through this with other people. There's amazing people in the group, and I will be available to answer any question you have. Thank you so much for paying attention, and I can't wait to see you inside the group, and I can't wait to watch you reach your health goals. Lower your blood pressure, lower your weight, eat delicious food, never be hungry. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later.